World Cup knockout stage is here, and this is where the tournament starts to get serious. And so far in the round of 32, but the first two games we saw, you see Canada scrape through in the last minute against South Africa. Um, a very good goal. They scored right at the end in a game that didn't have an abundance of quality, didn't have loads going on in, and if it wasn't for that winning goal, probably could likely have gone all the way to penalties. But Canada, like I say, they stepped up in a big moment. They got themselves through. They progressed. Their journey as a host in this tournament continues, and I have to say they've been very impressive so far overall. Certainly very good in the group stages. Falling short against Switzerland, but they come into this game. South Africa are a very good, a good side themselves, and they didn't. Canada slightly better side, I'd say overall, but South Africa definitely didn't suffer in this game at all. They won the ball back well. Every time they, quite often when it was out of the possession, I think it was fairly quiet game. Chances at both ends, but not really that high tempo, not really an abundance of quality, as I said. But it was just the more and more it went on, the more and more it became a game where just one goal wins it, and that was the case in the end. A 1-0 win. Canada scraped through, and they progressed in this tournament, and fair play to them. South Africa, though, they've had a good run as well, got themselves out of the group stage. The only thing I will say about Canada is in the next round, they'll have to be more clinical for sure, because they had quite a lot of chances there that are not taken, and they could have easily have ended up with it going to extra time, having not made the most of having the better chances in the game. So that will be something they'll have to be more clinical of in the next game. We knew that it would be either Netherlands or Morocco they go up against. It will be Morocco they face in the round of 16. So yeah, certainly will need to be clinical there, because they will not give chances away easily. Now, the second game we saw was Brazil come from behind to beat Japan in what was a really, really exciting game. I think a lot of, one of the games of the tournament so far, I think a lot of people went for Brazil to scrape through narrowly. I wondered if Japan would maybe would maybe do it in this one. But Brazil ultimately, they find a way, and they second half we see a massive improvement, and both teams were good through the group stages. Both teams shown that they could be competitive through that. So coming into the game, knew it would be a very good game. It was a good start for Japan. Brazil had some chances early on, but Japan was certainly looking really dangerous. And I did wonder this: would Brazil be able to cope with the speed and the intensity that Japan play at? And the first half, it was certainly looking like they were struggling to do so. They get caught out trying to counter Brazil. They lose possession, and Sano breaks away, and it's a wonderful strike that puts Brazil in front. But Casemiro just couldn't keep up. And Japan take the lead, and from there, Brazil looking like got a lot of work to do now. Going into half time, they were second best in the first half. They're 1-0 down. It's looking like could this be Japan's moment? But they've been in this position before. The last World Cup, they was in the knockout stage. They went 1-up against Croatia. Croatia though come back and get it to extra time and they win. But this does feel like the last couple of times they've gone out in the knockout stage. Now Japan in the first knockout game. I know it's the round of 16 last time. They went straight to that, but does seem like they're stuck at that point. There's a bit of a block there that they can't get over. That's definitely the next step for them, for sure. And it's a shame. I mean, we always knew that both of these two sides, are very capable in this tournament. We knew that one of them was going to go out at this stage. It was a big fixture to be played in this round. So you knew one of them had to fall short, and it ended up being Japan in the end. But Brazil, though, you could see the celebrations at full time, what it meant to them. It wasn't the easy fixture it once was for them. Japan are a team that have had consistent and constant improvement. Every tournament we see, they look even better, and they've got one of the best. They've got the best team together they've ever had here now. And even in the second half, when you see them in the games not going their way so much, they're bringing off good options off the bench as well. Such a good team they got together now. For the keeper made some very good saves. But Japan again, I think the future's very, very bright for them as a footballing nation. But this tournament just fallen short in that first knockout game, which would be a bit disappointing, because I think they would have hoped to have gone further, but we did know that could be a fixture that's played early on. So it's always going to be a big ask. But it was going very, very well at half time, and I was really impressed with them overall, because I thought they went toe to toe with Brazil, and it was a game that could have gone either way on the day. There was not like this just shows you the improvement of Japan. And they was a bit unlucky. It was a last minute goal, two last minute goals that won these first two games, and Brazil, half time, they make some changes, slight change of setup, and they look a completely different team in that second half. They play really, really well. Straight away, they come out looking like the goal's going to come. They had quite a few good chances. Vinicius Junior almost scoring one of the goals of the tournament. You had the one cleared off the line as well. Some big, big chances. But the goal does ultimately come. Gabriel sets up Casemiro. Casemiro heads it in. They get themselves back into the game. Brazil. They equalise. Casemiro probably didn't do enough. Didn't do enough to stop that first goal. Couldn't get back in time. But he redeems himself. He gets himself again his team the big equaliser that they were looking for. And Brazil, from this point, they're back in the game. And they're pushing now for the winner. And you're thinking, well, could they get the winner here? It's looking very much like it could be another extra time. It could be an extra time here, but there was a chance that won it, and it was for Brazil, and it did look like they were the more likely towards the end. And it did. The more and more the game went on, I will say that Brazil started to dominate more and more, and it got to the point where Japan were hanging on a bit, defending really well. They didn't look like uncomfortable with it necessarily, but I think they could have been a bit braver in the way they played. I think they maybe in that second half could have been a bit braver. Could have, especially when they made the subs, they maybe should have tried to go at them a bit more. They maybe sat a bit too deep and let them back into the game a bit. But equally, though, very, very impressed with Brazil. Come back really well. Big player steps up in the big moments. But of course, it's Martinelli who ultimately wins it off the bench for them. The goal comes from Bruno Guimaraes, picks him out really well. And we see him running onto this Martinelli. And when he takes a shot, it looks like initially he's missed, but it hits the post, but it bounces in off the post, and Brazil win it. In the last minute, a massive, massive goal that puts them through to the round of 16, where we now know after we now know Brazil. That's that's the biggest result we've seen from them so far. Big, big win, a statement win after the group stages, come back as well. Big, big result for Ancelotti and his Brazil side. There's been some criticism from myself actually. I've been critical of the squad selection, but he proved there, got good options off the bench, and utilised that and changed of approach at half time, worked really well, got the best out of his team. And I think, certainly the more and more this tournament goes on, I'm certainly more confident in Brazil now than I would have been before the tournament. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them going forward, but they're looking good. I have to say they are looking good. Japan, very unfortunate for them. But that second game in particular, the first game, Canada, South Africa, a bit quiet. The South African Canada one was a bit quiet, last minute winner, but Brazil and Japan, that was a seriously entertaining game.